Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday. Truly appreciate it. You are joining our virtual lunch and learn, building bridges, community integration for individuals with mental illness. My name is Olga Marable. I am the Business Development Manager at ClearView Communities. Just a little bit about our program. ClearView Communities is a longer-term residential mental health treatment program. Typically, our residents stay with us 12 to 18 months, and we're located in Frederick, Maryland, treating young adults. We serve individuals with bipolar disorder, mood illness, psychosis, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, major depression, anxiety, ADHD, failure to launch. We have 4 residences that have 8 private bedrooms and bathrooms each, and we're located within 5 minutes of downtown Frederick. We incorporate life skills and independent living into every aspect of our program, and that's also including community integration with school, volunteer, or work. The mission of ClearView Communities is to create superior residential experiences for people with severe mental illness and co-occurring disorders. We offer a unique and comprehensive program for adults with mental illness who are seeking recovery and independent living in the community. I want to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So this is being recorded, as I mentioned, so feel free to turn your cameras off if that makes you more comfortable. But I will be sending everybody the recording link as well as slides next week. Definitely have yourself muted during the presentation, but during Q&A, you are welcome to come off mute. Please rename yourself to your actual name. I know some people have different names on their Zoom, so make sure it's your name so we can address you by the correct name. The chat will remain open throughout the entire presentation. Feel free to use it for collaboration and networking. You're also welcome to ask questions throughout the presentation in the chat. I will moderate it, and as the questions come up in the chat, I will make sure to pause to have a chance for us to ask our speaker those questions. We will also have a Q&A portion at the end, so you're welcome to save your questions for then. And do keep in mind to make sure that the questions are appropriate, not too personal, because this is going to go out into the universe. So I want to see who's here. I want to utilize the chat. Please put in your name, your company title, or if you're a parent, your contact information, if you are comfortable doing that. And maybe a little fun question like let me see, what's your favorite thing about fall? I'm going to throw mine in there. You guys can take a look. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to answer that. But my favorite thing is sweater weather, which you should try to say 5 times fast because it's a lot of fun. But I love a good sweater. Love it. Super cozy. So feel free to throw that in there. Hey, Laura. Hey, Jasmine. Let's see who else is here.
I copy and pasted yours as a template to write mine and accidentally hit send too fast. So then it
I
had
saw.
your contact information. I deleted it.
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but thanks for your honesty, Laura.
Try to work smarter, not harder doesn't always work for me.
I had it in a Word document before I sent it. So, hey, Lori, favorite colors in the walks. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. Thank you so much for you guys for introducing yourselves. Hey, Tim. The cool weather. Agreed. Agreed. We're like kind of there with the fall weather. Well, I'm going to let you guys continue to throw that into the chat. Love to hear what you're saying. Molly, leggings, hoodies, agreed. All right, so just a little quick how this topic is relevant to Clearview Communities and our program. And I promise you this entire presentation is not just specifically about Clearview Communities. You're going to have a lot of takeaways on how to incorporate this in your own practices and support your loved ones. But just to share about how we utilize community integrations for Clearview Communities. Our mission is to empower our residents with mental illness by providing comprehensive support and resources to foster community integration through sustainable employment, meaningful volunteer engagement, and successful academic pursuits. We strive to promote mental health, combat stigma, and create a society where everyone can lead fulfilling and purposeful lives. Today's speaker is Vander Meer, LCSW-C, WIP-C, a clinical social worker with over 17 years of experience in mental health and addictions. He specializes in serious mental illness, psychotic disorders, and solutions-focused therapy. As the program director at ClearView Communities, Aaron leads innovative, person-centered services that promote recovery through community engagement. Aaron holds advanced clinical licensure and national certification in employment services. He has developed and led programs both nationally and internationally, and is passionate about empowering individuals through advocacy, coaching, and public speaking. Whether launching mental health initiatives, coaching sports, or supporting families in crisis, Aaron brings empathy, vision, and a deep commitment to helping people build meaningful lives. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Aaron to start our presentation.
Thank you, Olga. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for being here today. I'm excited to be able to present to you all on the concept of community integration and how to create community integration programs for individuals with serious mental illness. I really want to go over this concept of community integration, make sure that we all understand it by the end of the day, understand what it means, why it matters, and then how we can all work together to build inclusive, supportive environments for the folks that we serve. All right. So I won't go too much into my own background. Olga just did a wonderful job at that. So again, thank you very much. I have worked in the space of mental health or addiction services for over 17 years. I have been at ClearView since 2012 and have helped to build and develop what we've created into where we're at today. And all of us here, including Olga, are all extremely proud of not only what we created, but the impact that that has on folks. And one of those elements is the community integration side of things. And so we're going to talk about that today. The purpose of today's talk is, I hope by the end of it all, we understand what community integration is and how that benefits the people that we serve, and understanding how a community integration program can be applied, mainly in a residential setting. But I'm also happy to answer any questions that you all have about how to apply it in other settings as well. Regarding questions, I don't mind being interrupted. So at the end, we will have a question and answer time, but if there is a specific question that you have throughout this, please ask. I won't do a great job at monitoring the chat, and so Olga's going to be a huge support for me in that. And so please write your questions there. Please also feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question that way. All right. So what is community integration? It is defined differently by different individuals in different programs. It's one of the concepts that can mean a lot of different things. The generalized understanding of community integration is that it is a process by which individuals work, learn, and participate fully in their communities. At ClearView Communities, we really refer to it mainly our community integration program as work, school, and volunteering, although we do many other things focused on the concept of community integration here in our program. I think globally, the understanding of community integration is how do we help the individuals we serve integrate fully into the purposeful aspects of the world in the same way that you and I would want to. So within community integration programs, clients of those programs get coordinated care from both psychiatric and psychosocial services. That care is person-centered. I think that is a main element of community integration, that we do not want to create cookie-cutter programs that say this is how you should integrate, but we learn the needs, the wants, the desires, and the things that are most impactful for those folks we're working with. And we help them to integrate meaningfully in the community. And we do that by looking at specific domains: employment, education, housing, social relationships, and recreation. We could probably add a few more in there, but for me, those are the main domains that we talk about when we look at community integration programs. And the whole goal of community integration programs is to promote recovery. We want to help individuals not to isolate, but to become involved in their community, to feel meaningful engagement within the community, and to feel comfortable and safe doing so. So there are various pillars or aspects of community integration. I mentioned a little bit ago that one of the core elements of all of this is person-centered planning. I firmly believe that the individual needs to be at the center of all treatment that we provide. And so that's true with community integration programs as well. We can create different programmatic elements, such as work, school, and volunteering programs, housing programs, physical wellness programs, all these things to create avenues for community integration. But the individual we serve has to be at the heart of that. And we have to help them and support them in the process of integrating in the way that is most important for them. So when we talk about things like social interaction, what does that mean? I think it means building relationships. I don't think individuals do well when they live in isolation. I'm pretty sure we all went through something 5 years ago that taught us a lot about that. And we're still feeling the impacts of that now. The isolation of the pandemic, the isolation people feel when they're experiencing symptoms, all of that can be very detrimental. And so community integration really focuses on how do we help people to form healthy relationships in the community. And then from those relationships, we gather a sense of belonging, a sense of inclusivity. That's a huge element for this. We really want people to feel like they have purpose and value and worth and find ways in order to experience that. And so social interaction is a really key element of community integration. We also work on helping individuals to participate in community life. I'm a big fan of rec programs, sports programs. For me, it's been throughout my life a wonderful way of meeting people is through sports. It was more competitive sports when I was younger. Nowadays, I kind of need a bit more of the relaxed environment of social leagues and rec leagues. And that's a wonderful way in order to find healthy habits and to build those things, a good way to go out and meet people, and a really good way to feel that people are involved in something outside of the program that they're involved in. There's many other ways to participate in community life. We'll talk more in depth about work, school, and volunteering later, even though those are really, really important ways of participating in the community. But people can get involved in a lot of the social clubs that exist within communities, and those are really wonderful ways for folks to be able to participate too. In addition to that, part of community integration is also where we live, how we get around in the communities. And then also how do we choose or how do we manage our budget and how do we choose to manage our finances so that we can exist in the community too. So building a community integration program needs to involve that. We have to involve the understanding of how budgets impact our day-to-day lives and work on maybe some of the struggles that folks have with budgeting their money. If it's saving and having a fear of spending or overspending or not having the means of being able to earn money. And so we have to focus on budget and money management. Housing is a huge issue. Housing, I would say, is a huge community global issue to begin with. But it's a big concern for a lot of the folks that we serve within our programs. Affordable housing is a key element of that. And how do we find that? And then if it's affordable, is there supportive housing? Are there roommates, even therapeutic roommates, and finding programs also that folks can afford to go live at that create supportive environments for them? And what does that look like? And then transportation, being able to get around the community. I think community integration programs should involve an element of teaching people public transportation, if that's the means in which that they want to use, helping them to manage all the various things that we all have to deal with our vehicles. I think having a car may sound simple, but when do we change the oil? How do we take care of that? What do I do if I get a flat tire? Teaching those elements of things, I think, are all part of a community integration program because we're helping someone realize what transportation could look like for them and then how to manage that. And I think the core of community integration programs really comes down to purpose and meaning. I think all individuals seek this in life and need to find. Oh, my light turned off. There we go. I think it's a really important element to talk about amongst any program is purpose and meaning, but I think that is at the core when we talk about community integration as well. I want to share with you all some key statistics, both from research and we'll get to some key elements that I think are important from some of the folks that I've had the pleasure of working with throughout the years. Pardon me, I will read these, but 70% of people with serious mental illness want to work, but only 15% of them are employed. That number's hard for me because I really struggle thinking that so many individuals want to find a way to integrate through work, which gives us purpose and meaning, which helps us with the finances, which enables them to form a community, which would include the coworkers that they have. And if 70% of people are working and only 15% of them are employed, I really think it's important for all of us to consider the ways in which we can build programmatic elements to support them integrating through work, especially because it's such a stark statistic there. So we have found, and some of the research talks about one of the best ways to do that is through building programs based on the IPS model, individual placement and support. It was referred to as the evidence-based practice of supportive employment, more commonly referred to now as IPS. Individuals that participate in IPS programs are 2 to 3 times higher, or they're employed at 2 to 3 times higher of a rate than individuals who work with other types of programs helping to find employment. Again, we'll talk a little bit further in this presentation about how ClearView involves that. And how we kind of have loosely used the IPS model, but taken some liberties because it's been more aligned with person-centered planning for us. Pardon me. And the last key statistic I wanted to share is that people in supportive housing are 50% less likely to be hospitalized. Really highlights the element that housing should be one of the key pillars that we talk about when trying to develop community integration programs. And then aside from statistics and research, which are very important and things we need to use, it really matters to me that does that research help us to create programs and do our programs have a dramatic and positive impact on the people we serve? And so the personal impact that we've been able to see with some of the individuals we've served throughout the years are people say, I finally feel like I'm a part of something. That's not just from being at ClearView Communities or in a therapeutic program, but it's because there's been elements here of community integration, because they're finding social supports, because they're developing friendships outside of here, because they're learning how to provide transportation for themselves throughout the community, go get coffee with someone, have the budget to be able to do that, that they're finally able to feel a part of something bigger than themselves. And something outside of treatment alone. Individuals have said that they have more confidence now. I love that. I think that's amazing. That confidence is a huge piece of thinking that we can go on and do the next challenge that we face. I took my kids to jujitsu class last night, and they were super nervous to engage because it can be quite daunting. But at the end of it all, they can't stop talking about it because they got to build on this confidence they have because there was a supportive structure environment for them. They're encouraged throughout the process, and they left feeling like empowered, which was, as a dad, it was amazing to see. I think about that the same way I think about how do we build programs here too of how do we help build confidence for folks? And community integration has been a wonderful way for us to do that. And then another individual said, I learned that I have value to offer the world. I think the empath in me says it's sad that they didn't feel that prior. But I think, again, it highlights the importance of finding ways that we can show someone their inherent value. We are not giving that to them, but helping them discover that they've had that all along in ways that they can experience that in the community. So how do we create a community integration program? I mean, we could probably spend an hour talking to each of you about the different programs that you run and how you may best be able to do that. And so this will be very much a 10,000-foot view because I can't speak to all your programs individually. But I think the first step is identifying the population needs. We talked about one of the key elements of any community integration program is person-centered planning. And so understanding those that we serve, what are the diagnoses they have? How do those diagnoses impact them and some of their functionality? We have to take a look at their own interests and desires and limitations even. So if the people we serve all already have their own apartments and are able to manage the finance around that, the community integration program that we would build would have less of a focus on those things and maybe more build a focus around inclusive communities and relationships or work, school, and volunteering. I think once we've identified the needs of the people we serve, what some of their limitations may be, and also what their strengths are, we're able to then better understand how we can go about helping them in those various areas. And that means building a team. And I think it's really important to build a multidisciplinary team around that. Not just having a therapist to be able to work with them, or just a case manager, or just someone who's doing employment specialists. But having all those individuals be able to work together and collaborate. At ClearView, we're blessed to be able to have all those folks under one roof. I do feel extremely privileged in that. I've also worked with organizations before where we don't. And so we are working very closely with other programs in the community to collaborate on all those things. If we're not providing occupational therapy to help with some of the budgeting or ADLs, then we collaborate with a program that does. But I think it's a key element to be able to find those folks in the community, whether that's with our own organization or to find some partners to create that multidisciplinary team. It allows us to utilize our own strengths and then to lean on others for theirs. So once we have identified the needs of the community and we have the team that is built to be able to address those needs, we start looking into the models of care. I will continue to reemphasize, I think that work school volunteering is best served through an IPS model for employment. Not only the research says that, but anecdotally, we've experienced a lot of success by using that or using someone or something very similar to that. And if 70% of people want to work and only 15% are, and we see that IPS programs have 2 to 3 times higher likelihood to help people gain employment. To me, it's a no-brainer to be able to utilize something that way. Other really successful models within community integration are ACT teams, these assertive community treatment, and already comprised of a multidisciplinary team that is helping folks to be able to find affordable housing and budgeting and transportation and build relationships to not only help them feel like they're included into something, but to work on some of the isolation that may exist for folks when they're experiencing more of their acute symptoms. And then at the core of it all, remembering that it's person-centered care. The clients that we are serving, it needs to always be centered around them and constantly asking what's working for them, what's not, are we addressing their needs, and testing that through other measures that we've developed. So now I want to share with you all a case study, and that case study is based on the work that we do here at ClearView Communities and what community integration is, as we define it here. So our program, as community integration solely, really focuses on helping individuals to find work, school, and volunteering. Those are our key three elements that we refer to when we talk about community integration. I've been part of these associations before, like the Association for Community Integration Programs. And this is something we talk about a lot, is how we define community integration. All of us have that big global sense of it's all those ways that we've already spoken about with housing, transportation, work, school, volunteering, to be able to integrate into the community. But programmatically, we approach all that differently. Here at Clearview, what that looks like for us is approaching it through work, school, and volunteering. The benefits that we have seen and the benefits we talk about around here to the residents and the families here are by participating in a community integration program, we have seen improved mental health for the folks that we served, that there are an increased level of social supports. The residents now have coworkers that they can call. They develop friendships from that. They're part of sports leagues and they can go out and go have fun with their friends. I think fun is an essential element as part of treatment too. And all those social supports they're developing are going to be key when they discharge from our programs and they're living independently in the community or as independently as they can. We've seen an enhanced quality of life. Quality of life is, we probably all of us will define that a little bit differently. But purpose and meaning are a part of that. Having relationships, feeling like I am capable of doing things and having the confidence to go about achieving those things really is all a part of what we've seen from folks as they've gone to school, built friendships there, seen themselves graduating classes, earning credits towards the degree. See the same thing with work. It's hard to find a job, and once you find that job, you feel this amazing success from being able to say, I'm employable, I have something to offer. And even that alone enhances some of the individual's quality of life. Then they can start affording some of the things that they want and building the life that they envision for themselves. Another benefit is skill development. Aside from some of the therapeutic endeavors that we do here, skill development is building knowledge through going back to school. Really, in volunteering and in work, we're building some of the social skills that we can talk about in therapy and we can work on in therapy, but then they go out into the world and they're practicing those things. I think that experiential learning element is amazing. We've seen a lot of good positive effects of that. But I also think it's key. I don't think therapy in a bubble alone is the sole answer for things. So how do we get people to, I don't want to say integrate, but to have some of these experiential elements? So work helps be able to work on those social engagements, building relationships, and the skill development can be in many other ways too. Some of the benefits are empowerment, independence, reducing stigma. There's still a lot of individuals in the community when they hear mental illness, especially serious mental illness, hesitate to offer folks a job, and they get nervous about what that could mean. And so I think the more experience they have in working with people with different diagnoses, they see that looks different for everybody, and that people are people, and we all have various needs. And so we're able to further reduce the stigma of mental illness that way. And hopefully through community integration, our folks that have gone to school, they have improved their financial situation. For us, one of the things we're working towards is independence, and we want people to really be able to earn enough where they can live that life of independence that they want. So our mission through our community integration program is to empower individuals to provide comprehensive supports and resources to foster community integration. We do that through, again, work, school, volunteering. So I want to go a bit into each of those core elements that we have. For supported education, we call it supported education because it too is loosely based on the individual placement and support model. It means that we'll have no, we will provide ongoing support no matter how many times someone is successful or not successful in going to class. I'll go through, probably should have done it in the beginning, but I'll go through the pillars of community integration here in a moment. But supported education for us is a way that we can partner with a client to say, we think that education is going to best serve you in your own goals. And so we're going to help you identify anything related to filling out financial aid forms. So if you need help finding some of the funding to do that, we'll help coordinate that with you. We'll help you apply for classes. We'll help you break down your syllabus into study calendars. We'll work with you and our multidisciplinary team in order to help you understand every aspect of the material you're given for class and to build a guide to help you study so that you're meeting all the deadlines that you're supposed to. Throughout community integration programs, they really work well when they're working in partnership with outside agencies too. And so for us, that means establishing relationships with some of the colleges and universities in the area. And there's three major ones that are here around Frederick. And so we have good established relationships with Hood and FCC and Mount St. Mary's. Those relationships allow us to have direct lines of communication with the professors, with the staff that runs the support for the student support offices. So if someone needs accommodations, that we can help coordinate that with them too. Our residents don't get special accommodations where they're admitted to the school if they don't meet the criteria. They're going through the same processes as everyone else. I think that's also a key element in education and work because it shows that our residents do meet the criteria like everyone else, and it's very inclusive that way. So again, some of the things that we're providing as part of our supported education are assessing the individual's own interests, their skills, so that we can find maybe the degree program or the certificate program that's going to be best for them. If an individual is curious about which school may be the best fit, we take them out on school tours, have them hang out in some of the student lounges, get to know some of the people there, make sure the vibe feels right, because sometimes that's really important as well. So supported volunteering is one of the second main things that we're doing, helping folks to identify that sometimes work is not where they feel like they're at right now. Work seems daunting, and so volunteering feels safer and more approachable to them. And for some individuals, volunteering is something where it allows them to get their feet wet a little bit before they enter the working world. For whatever reason, as long as that individual has the goal of volunteering, we see it as an amazing way to get them that real world experience and that experiential learning. And we approach that through a couple different ways. We do some group volunteer projects. So that may be a staff member and some individuals, some of the residents going out, doing a whole project together. Maybe it's doing some cleanup, doing an Earth Day whole project. We've done those a few times. But the main way we focus on this is really through individual community volunteering. The two big sides to that are developing relationships with volunteer sites. I will talk about really the business development side of this a few times, but that's key. We want to understand what all the needs are of the different organizations in the community that need volunteers, so we can play matchmaker and help the individuals we serve know what the tasks are, know what the environment's going to be like, do as much as we can to prepare them so that when they go out to volunteer, they know what they're getting into. And supported employment has been the key one for us. So supported employment is helping someone to find competitive work within the community. Um, and the main components of that and our focus on that has been through job development, placement, or helping someone find those opportunities within the community, and then support while they are on the job. So that IPS model is really based on 8 core principles. We'll go over those in the next slide. We've adapted that model a bit over the years, so we are not so rigid in focusing on true fidelity to it, even though I think if we were to take a fidelity assessment to the IPS model, we'd probably still be in that 90 to 100% range. The only difference sometimes is we may work and focus more on volunteering, or we may have multiple individuals working at one site because that job's appealing to a lot of folks, and IPS doesn't always support that. So what are those core principles? One is competitive employment. That means it's a job that you and I would go out for, not something set aside for someone with a disability, not something that has limited tasks because folks aren't capable of doing those things. It is a job that anyone can go for. Going back to multidisciplinary teams, one of the core elements of all of this is integrating the supported employment team and all the work being done by them with the rest of treatment. And so occupational therapy, talking about what someone's work goals are, the budgeting that comes with that, task analyses, the therapist talking through some of the anxiety that someone may have during that, or how to manage a psychotic episode someone's experiencing while at work. So supported employment is only successful when we do work in those multidisciplinary teams. There's a zero exclusion policy for supported employment. It's resident choice. Zero exclusion means, I'll give you a good example. I worked with a woman who she got 63 jobs while she was working with us. 63 different jobs. She didn't work a day at any one of them. And after the first one, we would do the next job because that one she just wasn't ready for it. He said, okay, it's all right. You can still go on. So we'll do the next. But nothing ever stopped her from being able to continue to work with us. I saw all of those steps, all 63 opportunities, as growth and opportunities for her to try to find the right environment for her, but also maybe the right timing for her as well. And so we don't exclude people based on how many times they've tried to get a job or whether or not they've been successful, because I think success can be defined in so many different ways. We also don't exclude people based on acuity. Oh, Carrie, do you have a question? Okay. Yeah, we also don't exclude anyone based on acuity. I have an individual that got a job recently who experiences and did experience psychotic episode while he was working his first day, right? It's because that individual is still managing and trying to figure out how does he deal with psychotic episodes does not mean that he cannot work. So there's no exclusionary criteria for this. We all focused on resident preferences too. Again, very important. We don't just have relationship with Walmart and Costco and the hospital and say, we got 4 jobs, pick one, whatever one's best for you. No, it's person-centered planning. If someone wants to do a job, if they want to go work in a biomedical laboratory, however, that person does not have the skill sets to be able to do that, we say that's absolutely our goal. So if that's your preference to be able to do that kind of work, let's work towards it. A great example of this would be we had a guy who wanted to be a race car driver. And I was like, I love it. I love it. Maybe when I grow up, I'll also be a race car driver because that sounds incredible to me. But let's talk about the criteria for that and how many people actually get to be race car drivers. So, not saying that we shouldn't focus on this, but talk to me about what do you love about being a race car driver? He's like, I'm so curious about how do they get the engines to work that way, and how do they get the cars to go that fast? And it just seems fascinating to me. I said, so you're really more into the mechanics of things and being able to understand how engines work and be able to build the engine so that you can get the race car to go that fast. He's like, yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so curious about how do you do that? So we started looking into jobs within auto mechanics or engineering firms for engines, and it didn't have any of the skill sets there. So we further back up to the point of can we work somewhere where he starts learning all the various parts that go into an engine to get an understanding of those while he can go back to school to become a mechanic. So he worked at an auto parts store, which is all in line with his preferences and helping to be able to scale up towards that ultimate goal. Um, Another pillar of IPS would be benefits counseling, really making sure we're talking about how does work impact someone's federal benefits. So what I'm referring to is SSI and SSDI. And so I am a credentialed work incentives planner so that we're able to talk about how does work impact your benefits so that we can really help you plan to make the best choice for yourself. Pardon me. Uh, Another element is rapid job search. We want to make sure that we are going to work and finding opportunities quickly. There's no readiness. There's no, hey, you need to be able to pass these 4 tests that we're going to do to make sure that you're ready and capable. If someone wants to work, they can find an opportunity to apply and they get offered the job. Let's go for it. And then job development. We are forming relationships with employers in the community who have opportunities. So one, that we can understand what those opportunities are and what makes their staff successful. And then the second side of that would be that we are sharing those opportunities with our clients so we can help play matchmaker that way. So what do job supports look like as part of a community integration program? We're doing a lot of skill assessment and development. If someone wants to be that race car driver, but we back up towards working on auto parts, what skills do they have to be a mechanic right now? And how do we help them develop that while also finding opportunities to work at their current skill level? We do a lot of job interest surveys. We'll do personality assessments, anything to really help someone understand who they are and what their strengths are, and maybe what a good cultural fit or a good environmental fit may be for them. So a place that is fast-paced versus slow-paced, a place that is loud versus some place that maybe there's not as much stimuli going on. Helping people to really understand that. Helping clients to write resumes, helping them learn how to tailor those resumes towards job descriptions. And then once they get the job, doing job coaching, working with them to understand the individual tasks that are taking place and how to do those things, how to build routine, all those maybe specific accommodations that we can create there on the job site too. We mentioned job development, building those relationships with local employers. It's a key aspect of all this too. We really want to make sure that the employers understand that we are there to serve them as well as our clients, and that we are communicating about all the strengths the individual has, but also the areas of growth. It helps us as a program be able to tell a business, listen, if they're struggling with task completion, tell us that. Let us come back here to the office, and at times outside of work, we can really focus on building and developing those specific tasks that they're having a hard time with, so that when they come back to work, they're that much more capable of doing that. So developing those partnerships is really important. And in those relationships, we develop the magic triangle. It's where the resident, the employer, and our team all work seamlessly together. it's not just these types of programs, community integration programs for support employment, aren't just benefiting the clients and those folks that we serve. The businesses also get a lot out of that. I mean, they are getting what we talk about is you're going to get a team of 72 people who are helping this one client to be successful so that they can achieve all the goals you have for them and they have for themselves. So they're getting diverse skill sets from the folks that we help place there. We have seen that some of our clients, once they get a job, they become very loyal and committed to that place. They feel comfortable there, they feel safe there. And so they end up staying at those jobs for a long time, even after discharge. We've had individuals from out of state say that they want to remain in Frederick because they have a job and that job's going really well for them. And so they stay committed to that job afterwards. Creating inclusive environments, one of people with varying ability and varying beliefs, I think really helps with workplace morale. And so hiring folks with any kind of mental illness really helps to increase workplace morale. As a program, we really work on making sure transportation is key, whether or not we are providing that for someone or teaching them how to provide that for themselves. And so because there's support within that, a lot of employers see that our individuals have a reduced absenteeism as compared to others. We also see that we're able to help out a lot of employers with decreasing the amount of time and energy they have to spend in looking for employees. If any of you do any hiring, you know that it's a challenge, especially right now. And so being able to tailor fit these things is really important. So in addition to work, school, volunteering, those things that we are doing here at ClearView, we do many other things to align with that global understanding of community integration. So we're working on discharge planning around transitional and supported housing options. Housing, where someone lives, what type of environment they want to live in, really helps them to set themselves up for success when they have discharged and are integrated into the community. We do a lot with our occupational therapy department in working on budgeting skills, doing all kinds of workshops or informational sessions, even around federal benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, anything really to create that support system through finances and insurance so that they have that safety net, they have the finances in place so that when they're in the community, that's taken care of. The community integration programs, we talked about fun being an essential part of treatment. It absolutely is. I tell a lot of residents all the time, like, please help us continue to develop that here because talking about how things are going all day or focusing on just signs and symptoms of an illness, I don't think fully covers all of what the human experience is. And so we need to develop events, outings, social engagement times. And through that, we're learning too what healthy habits are. Someone may find out they love playing pickleball. Who doesn't? So go to the YMCA, start building a relationship with some of the other people that play there. Being able to go out, form those friendships, have that healthy habit really not only helps us with coping for a lot of things in life, but helps someone to feel a part of the community too. And so we do that through many different evening, weekend activities and programmatic things throughout the day. And then really we work a lot with our residents and families on relationship building through family psychoeducation, through creating opportunities for peers to form relationships, a lot of that milieu work, and then talking a lot about communication styles, boundary settings, those things, so that individuals feel like the relationships they're forming are mutual ones and supportive ones for them too. And so all these things are coordinated through multidisciplinary teams. Again, that is going to be a core element in any type of community integration program. And all done through the individual goals, that person-centered element of all this. My apologies. So call to action for all of us. For any clinicians and therapists, as how do we collaborate together? If you are your own practitioner and you want to help an individual be able to integrate further into the community, what relationships can you develop with other practitioners, with occupational therapists, with voc rehab programs to help people build and develop these wraparound supports for themselves? If we're creating master treatment plans, 1 minute, for folks, how do we put community integration goals within those plans? How do we build goals for developing relationship, for good financial planning, seeing those as essential elements in someone's recovery process, and not just, I wouldn't say just, but in addition to working on reduction of symptoms, working on all the recovery-based aspects too. Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold and trying to get through that right now. So thank you for your patience. Consultants, how do you help build bridges between services and systems, understanding the connection of all the folks that you work with, I guess all the providers that you work with, to see how they may be able to partner together to serve one of your own clients, really helping to maybe see the forest through the trees and find some of these good partnerships that can work for folks too. For families, I think part of the call to action is not just being a caregiver, but being a partner, aligning with your loved one and saying, what does it look like for you to live independently in the community? Aside from you as part of that care team, which you are, how else do you partner with all the providers to create that for them and help them learn how to create that for themselves? I think ultimately we're trying to create these experiential learning environments for folks so that they can really fully experiencing the benefits of community integration. So some final thoughts to share with you all is recovery is not just about reducing symptoms. I think it's building a life worth living. I think some of the best elements to do that, the ways to do that, is a community integration based program. That doesn't mean that it's just specifically just CI. It means incorporating the elements of what we talked about through helping someone with housing and budgeting and purpose and meaning and social engagement. Recovery includes all those things. And so all of that and stability in all those things helps us to be able to create a life worth living. I think community integration then is at the heart of recovery. I think that community integration is part of purpose and meaning, which is at the heart of the human experience too. So we all have a role to play in that. Whatever your position is, it's helping to facilitate conversations around how do we as an organization do that? What could we improve in? What are we doing really well? And then how do we maybe partner with other agencies to work on that? We can offer that element and then they can benefit us by working on something else to create these opportunities for those we care about and those that we serve. All right. Now I want to create an opportunity for you all for any questions or discussion, and feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
I think while people are thinking about the questions, Aaron, just want to say thank you again for sharing your expertise and knowledge with the group, especially while you're recovering from not feeling well. So appreciate it.
Pardon me.
No, you deserve a nice cup of hot tea. But there are some questions that I received, so I'm just going to ask those for you.
Oh, please.
Are there any, have you found any social groups or rec programs that have been the most receptive or beneficial, just for examples that
yeah, wonderful question. We have there's quite a few, and part of this may involve we talked about some of the job development aspect. I think part of my role is building relationships with programs within the community too, so that I can kind of vet whether or not they'd be a great place for us. So, for example, we had gym memberships to it was called One Life Fitness. One Life was wonderful. We worked with them for a good number of years. And it was really easy. Our folks could punch in, punch out with their key cards and go use the gym. But we wanted to be able to offer more social elements, more rec-based programming. And so we started having conversations with the YMCA here in town. Every YMCA is a bit different, but they offer a lot of the same things. And talk to them about who we are as a program, what our mission is, what we're trying to achieve, why we are thinking of partnering with them, which included we want our folks to be able to access rec leagues, not just work out at a gym or go to group fitness classes, but to be able to sign up for those rec leagues, to be able to have the opportunity to take classes on, I mean, they offer cooking classes, some like fitness classes, Pilates, and sign up for those things based on their interest. And the YMCA serves such a large part of our community where there is a really, I would say, diverse population that's there. So, in terms of, are there some that are more beneficial? Part of that is based on the environment. And so I have gone out and talked to those places and be able to see whether or not they are creating inclusive spaces. The YMCA, I think, does a fantastic job at that. They are serving a large percentage of the population and a very diverse group in the population. So probably one of the things I would think about is any opportunity that someone has to go do some of these social elements is a good one, and you should explore that with them. Some may be better than others because they have more experience in doing that, and I think the YMCA is a place that does have that good experience.
Thank you for answering that. On a very similar note, the next question is, do you have specific examples of volunteer opportunities and work opportunities that have been successful?
Numerous. It's hard to answer that in such a global way because that really it comes down to the individual client at least. And sometimes it's come down to just the employer is extremely rigid, and any mistake that any employee makes, they get fired immediately. So it's just a bad environment for folks. So in the world, I got to get this right. In the world of kind of employment for individuals with disabilities, it used to be called the 4 Fs. I'm trying to remember the 4 Fs: flowers, folding, food, and floors. So cleaning, food service, some gardening type work, and folding retail environments. We've had good luck in all 4 of those. In big box stores, in grocery stores, a lot of good luck with the grocery stores. In retail environments like Kohl's and Walmart. And then in fast food, we've had folks serve, host, bus, cook at nursing homes, finer dining, family dining, fast food. So I don't know if there's one element of like a type of job that we've had more success in. I think that we have found a greater level of success when we're able to build that triangle. When we have a relationship with the employer, that we have listened to our client, that this job is in their interest, something that they're excited about. I'll give more time and energy to those things that I'm more excited about and passionate about than before, or than in a job that maybe I'm not too stoked about working in. So if the resident or your client is interested in the job and they have communication with their manager, and that's a direct line of communication. We also have direct line of communication. So it's not just our residents' interpretation of the experience, but it's us getting feedback from the manager as well, so that we can take all those data points and talk about that, right? Someone goes to work and they're like, I killed it. I had an awesome day. I'm like, I love that. That's so good. Let's celebrate that. Say, let me also share that your manager sent me a little bit of feedback talking about how they too think you did an amazing job. What they'd like to see some growth in is being able to follow through on some of the tasks they've given you. They told you 5 things, you did 3, which is incredible. But I really want to work with you to build on how do we follow through on the 4th and the 5th one. So the type of environments that we've seen that in have been varied. Food service, folks working in some in the hospital, but we've really seen it in any environment. I think the key is the relationship aspect between our client, us, and the employer. So volunteering as well. Again, that's person-centered. Our folks love working with animals. I get it. That's fun. So we do some work with our local animal control shelter and taking care of the animals and working with potential adopters of the animals. So our residents are giving information on the adoption process, what they need to do, and get to share all the wonderful things about the animals they're working with. We have a local food bank and rescue mission here in town, which serves food. They do lunch every day for anyone that wants it. They have a food bank, they have a clothing program, and they also have a residential program for individuals in recovery. So our residents work in various aspects of that. My favorite element of that is that our residents get to go to a program where they're giving back and they're the ones who are helping others in recovery. So they get to see not only are they themselves in the recovery process, but at that same point that they have a lot to be able to give back towards others. I think that's important. So I'm sorry I don't have like here are the 3 industries that you should focus on. I would encourage you to build a relationship with any volunteer or work placement, and really try to create that golden triangle.
I think that's a great answer, Aaron. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you to the person who asked those questions too. Are there any other questions that you guys want to ask Aaron while we have him? Oh, here's another one. Jessica, thanks for your question. How do you handle situations where residents choose not to allow CV to communicate with an employer out of concern about stigma?
Phenomenal question. So thank you for asking that. We call that disclosure, whether or not someone wants to disclose that they have a relationship with us, and we have forms for that, and folks sign off, so we have permission to talk to the employer. We often have times where people do not want to disclose to an employer that they work with us. So we do not have that golden triangle, that direct line of communication with the employer. We can still do all the work with the client prior to getting the job, the skill assessments, the personality assessments, building cover letters and resumes, interview prep. We can do all of that. Once they get the job, we're limited. We're limited to only working with the client's perception of how things are going. Doesn't mean that we're not successful in that, but it does create some limitations for us. So what we do there is that we meet with the client or just have a brief conversation after many of their shifts, check in at least weekly on how's work going. What are some of the things you're super excited about, things you're proud of? Maybe some of the things in which you think you could improve on, or any feedback you're getting from your boss. So we're asking those questions so that we can learn from them, their perceptions of what their growth areas are. We continue to build on their strengths that we've seen and that they've identified. We also ask them direct questions about, hey, I know sometimes in the home, or what we've seen here in the rest of your treatment is maybe you have a hard time following through on back to verbal processing. So being able to remember all the things that someone says to you at once. How do you feel like you're doing on that at work? What does that look like for you there? They're like, yeah, It's a good reminder because I have had a hard time with that. You go, okay, so let's focus on that. So we're taking all these other like data points from other areas of treatment, um, and asking direct questions towards them that way to try to gain as much information as we can. Um, but that's still limited because we don't have that other party's feedback in it. So my encouragement to you would just take as many of those data points as you can and have direct conversations with your clients and figure out what's going well and what's not. If they continue to get the job, it's going pretty good or good enough at least. And if that changes and there's a loss of employment, um, maybe then I would ask the question again whether or not they're open to disclosure, because maybe there's some things that we could learn from that transition that would benefit them the next job. And disclosure is going back to person-centered. It's all about when they want to disclose and to whom. So if they allow me to talk to that one person after they lose the job, it doesn't mean I'm allowed to talk to anyone about them. So they may not want me to ever do it again, but at least we could try to get it in that one point.
Thank you, Aaron. A few more questions. And Carrie asked a great question because I know some of you joined a little bit later. This is being recorded, so you will get the recording and you will get their slides. I will send all of that next week, so you will receive those. Carrie's also asking, typically, how long do people live at ClearView Communities? What is their continued success rate upon discharge back to their community?
Love the questions. So length of stay is somewhat changing. Used to talk about folks being here for 12 to 18 months. Right now, we see folks here for anywhere between 6 to 12 months still, and are working with them. I mean, no matter that duration, we've had some individuals be very successful within 3 months here, and other individuals take longer. Average length of stay now, though, would be anywhere between 6 and 12 months. Our data from the last 3 years says that it takes us on average of 58 days for someone from the day they admit to Clearview to the day that they are involved in work, school, or volunteering. We're doing other aspects of community integration immediately, like getting them involved in social circles, sports, gym, fun activities, going to baseball games, things like that in the community. But 58 days to when they have acquired their own job or volunteering placement or going to school. Those individuals we see that as a greater predictor of success. The individuals that specifically with work are able to work and maintain that job tend to be able to graduate the program sooner. To be able to go to work, they're able to manage their illness to the point where they can hold a job, relate to customers, work with their coworkers, take and receive feedback from an employer. So engagement in work, school, or volunteering has been a greater predictor of success for us. And then those individuals post-discharge, as we talked about, tend to stay in the jobs that they've had. Not all of them. Some move to different parts of Maryland or they go back to their home state. And we still work with them on finding a job at those places to the degree that we can. But we see on average that most of the individuals that were involved in some way with work, school, or volunteering are able to maintain that and are less likely to then come back to clear. Did I answer all the elements of that, Olga, or there were still some things that I forgot?
Nope, I think that's it. And Carrie, also, I know your question had a few things stated in beforehand, and I appreciate the kind compliments you mentioned about our program, so thank you. I will open up for one last chance for any more questions. I think these have been really good questions, though, Aaron. You've been really thorough in answering them. So I think that's it for our questions right now. Those are great. So I do appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much again for your time on a Friday with beautiful weather. I will be sure again to send you all of this information. I will be sure to send you Erin's contact information if you want to learn more about our program. Happy to connect with you and look forward to seeing you all in the future. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.